Welcome to Behind the Badge. I'm your host, Chief David Malloy, Director of Public Safety for the City of Novi. And I'm honored to be joined here today on set with Detective Todd Anger of the Novi Police Department. Detective, welcome.
Thank you, Chief.
Todd, tell us a little bit about your training, your education, your background, and law enforcement kind of runs in your family. So how it is that you came to become a Novi police officer, detective, and your current assignment today?
Law enforcement does run in the family. There was a time where my dad worked for the city of Berkeley. My mom was a court reporter. My mother-in-law was also a court reporter. The only one who had a brain among us not to do it was my brother. Anyway, it's been a very good career. Started at Michigan State back in 1988. Became an officer here in Novi in 1989. 1997 was promoted to detective, where I've been working in the detective section ever since.
What are some of the specialized areas and expertises that you've developed over the years in terms of your skill set as a detective?
We've had a lot of different experiences. Because we are a relatively small department, we're able to do a lot of different things. So I've been a part of murder investigations, robberies, burglaries, and you learn a lot of stuff as you go. And we have a great group of people that are all willing to work together. We have good training opportunities to learn about different techniques and interviewing styles that will help us further a case. So we've had a lot of different experiences that help us become good at what we do.
What's your current district assignment now?
I handle them all. I handle the property room, which is stuff that is collected and held for evidence for court cases. I handle some administrative stuff as far as like liquor license investigations. Pretty much a jack of all trades.
Yeah, and I know with your current assignment, particularly with the shopping center, you do a lot of community outreach and training and assist a lot of the local loss prevention units. Can you tell the viewing audience a little bit about that partnership we've had with 12 Oaks Mall and several of the other shopping center areas?
We've had a real good experience over the years with the 12 Oaks security and the stores within the mall themselves. We work very closely with one another. We have an idea what's going on, what each of us needs in order to successfully pursue a case and to investigate it. By that cooperative teamwork, we have had a lot of success making arrests. There was one recently where a group of people went into Tapper's Jewelers, smashed a display case, stole some Rolex watches. Well, that information was relayed from the store to 12 Oaks Security, related to our officers. One of the suspects was arrested right there in Tapper's, and the second person was arrested in the parking lot. And it's that type of teamwork and communication that's really effective in helping us make those arrests.
And I know you work alongside Detective Sergeant Conquest, and he's kind of our intelligence guru, if you will, and he shared that information out. And if I'm not mistaken, we were able to assist other agencies in clearing crimes because of the investigative work, but first and foremost because of that response from not only the security force, but our uniformed assets were out there. So it was a great case all the way around.
Right, and you're absolutely right. Information that we gathered in our case helped some other departments, and there's been a ring of people that were going out and doing these smash and grabs at high-end jewelry stores.
Great. And recently we've kind of seen a resurgence of the Novi Town Center, a shopping area that at one time wasn't really doing that well. We have Walmart in there now, and to my knowledge, we're not getting any real increase in the amount of not only cases, but also complaints from Walmart.
We're not, but the few that we have had, the security there at Walmart's been fantastic. They've been real easy to work with. They have their information together when we need their assistance. So it has not become a problem for us at all, and if nothing else, it's been an asset.
Yeah, and I think it's great to drive through the town center now and to see the parking lots full. We were talking with the manager, Jim Clear, the other day from the town center, and he was talking about how they have a high 90% occupancy rate now in a commercial area that really at one time wasn't doing so well.
Well, when you and I started, it was difficult for people to keep stores full.
Yeah. Todd, talk to us a little bit about some of the new programs. Recently we did a drug take-back initiative as part of a national program with the Drug Enforcement Administration. Can you talk about that?
Sure. One of the concerns that we have is about what to do with expired or unwanted medications. The fear is that we don't want kids to get into them. We don't want to pour this stuff into the toilet, for example, because we don't want it to get back in our drinking water. So the DEA started an initiative that we're participating in where you can bring your medicines into the police department. We will take those medicines and then hold on to them and eventually turn them over to the DEA for destruction. The caveat is we can only take pills. Other stuff like liquids and those types of medications, the suggestion is from the FDA is to put that stuff in, say, like a plastic bottle with coffee grounds or kitty litter, something to make it undesirable, and dispose of those liquid medicines as you would normal trash.
Yeah. And you had experience as a DARE instructor, drug abuse resistance education. The biggest thing, and one of the primary reasons we are doing this, is because prescription drug abuse is one of the #1 hot topics today.
Absolutely. And kids are going into medicine cabinets or the pantry or wherever they're kept, and if they're sitting on the shelves and haven't been used, some kids are getting into them. And the parents may not even know that their child is now taking a medicine that wasn't intended for them.
And we've had intelligence information, and we've investigated cases and parties where kids will actually bring pills to a party. They'll dump them in a bowl, and kids will grab 2 or 3 or 4 pills, having no idea of how those drugs interact with one another and the effect that it could have on their system. And actually the consequences can be fatal.
Absolutely.
And these pills, they're not buying them on the street, they're not going to an urban area, they're actually getting them from their own medicine cabinets, their grandparents' medicine cabinets, family members. So it's absolutely critical. This past Saturday, what was the total count that we were able to bring in?
We took 59 pounds of unwanted medicines and turned them over to the DEA for destruction.
That's outstanding. And I know nationally they actually took, I believe, over 570 tons of prescription drug medication, expired, unwanted, that's not going to hit the street. So that's
Right.
outstanding. Thanks for
Right.
leading that initiative. Another thing that we have, we recently started a program that I'd like you to speak about, where we recover bicycles all the time throughout the community.
Right now in our property room where we hold evidence, we have dozens of bicycles dating back a couple of years ago. We still have them. We're looking for the owners. So the idea was, let's put pictures of these bicycles on the police website. People can scroll through those pictures, and if they see their bicycle, to give us a call and say, hey, that's mine, I'd like to get it back. So we have dozens in our property room now. If you're missing a bike and are looking for a bike, check it out and then give us a call. We'll see if we can reunite it.
They can go to cityofnovi.org, click the public safety tab under city services,
Right.
go to police, and I believe it's under community programs.
Right.
How successful have we been so far?
So far, 2, but this program just started within the last couple of weeks, maybe a month, so we'd like to see more bicycles get returned to their owners.
So at least 2 family members are happy we've been able to find
I
them.
had some big smiles the other day when I gave 2 back.
Todd, one of your other expertise that you have is through crime prevention. Not only crime prevention and keeping people safe and preventing crime, but crime prevention through environmental design. Talk to the viewing audience a little bit about some of the home and business surveys that our detectives and our police officers can come out and do.
Our detectives can come out and look at your home or look at your business and give you some practical ideas as to how to protect yourself or your business against crime. Sometimes people get kind of lax in their day-to-day lifestyle because there hasn't been a problem. Well, sometimes criminals will prey on that laxness. If they perceive a weakness in your security, then you may become a target. And so the idea is, by sending an officer or a detective out to your home or your business, we can talk through some of that stuff with you to help shore things up and make things a little bit more safe, at least more difficult for the bad guy to commit their crime.
And the investigators and the officers, they actually have a checklist, making sure that the hedges are properly trimmed so they're not covering the
Right.
windows, making sure that when you leave town, you have someone collect your mail, collect your newspapers, putting on security lights at night, having just your exterior porch light or garage lights on or rear back patio. I think if more people did that, we would be able to prevent our would-be thieves, our young people that are creeping around in backyards and are breaking into our cars. We could be able to prevent a lot of that from happening.
You're right, and those are our general tips that have been talked about for years among police officers and giving them out to citizens. But when we come out to do those security surveys, it's a little bit more individualized. There might be something more specific that we can give some ideas towards.
Yeah.
Though that information is also stuff that we're developing to put on the website, and we'll talk about crime mapping, I'm sure, but there will be links on the police department's website that will give you some of those general crime prevention techniques.
Fantastic. We're going to take a quick break from Behind the Badge, and we'll be back to talk more with Detective Todd Anger, so stay tuned.
Track 6. Do not leave bags unattended.
Maybe you see something suspicious, but you don't want to get involved. It's nothing, you think. Can you be sure? see something, say something. Report suspicious activity to local authorities. Bring out the action hero in you. Be part of the greatest action movie ever. The first movie that puts you in the action. Show us how you train and eat like an action hero. Join in at actionheroalliance.com.
Welcome back to Behind the Badge. We are continued to join by Detective Todd Anger of the Novi Police Department. Detective Anger, let's talk a little bit about a new program that we have. We live and work in an open and transparent government. We want the community members to know where incidents are taking place, where activities taking place in their neighborhood, so they can better prepare themselves. We talked earlier about some of the business and residential security surveys that the officers would do, but we now have a feature on our website called Crime Mapping. Can you tell the viewing audience and the residents a little bit about how they can go in and take a look and see where activity is happening?
Well, where it really stems from is we believe that knowledge is power. And obviously we talk about transparency. So one of the things that we've been able to do with the incarnation of technology, and it's becoming more and more prevalent in police work, is to take that information about crimes that are occurring and plug them into a database where citizens can now search the database and pull up a map of their neighborhood or their business area and see what kind of crimes are going on within a particular radius of their address. Things from robbery to burglaries to larcenies, home invasions, so that they're aware of what's going on. And when we talk about those crime prevention techniques, it fits hand in hand with knowing what's going on in your neighborhood. And ideally, if you recognize particular problems in your neighborhood and you know how to prevent against it, when you see something that isn't right or you see the person that's out of place or doing something they shouldn't, the first call is to the police. We can come check it out and head off any further problems. So it's working together as a team is the concept.
And I think that's so critical that you point out by calling us and alerting us. I recently sat through a presentation by Officer Chismar, our District 20 car. He works the west side of this community, so everything west of Novi Road from 10 Mile up to Grand River. And he passed on that there was a subdivision that was experiencing what they believed to be a target, that they were targeting mature senior citizen females who lived alone. Mm-hmm. And apparently the females weren't calling us, they were actually calling their homeowner leader to say, hey, these people are here. He in turn put them in touch with Officer Chismar. Officer Chismar able to pass that information on to Officer Penzak, who actually performed a traffic stop on a gentleman later that evening and found out that he was a salesperson who was in that area. Mm-hmm. Not targeting people whatsoever, just looking to further his business and make some sales. But it was a good reminder of, if you feel like something is amiss or something doesn't fit, call us and check it out. Don't call a friend, don't call a neighbor, call the police so we can activate that response system.
Sometimes if you wait too long or you don't call us right away, it's too hard for us to come back and find out what it is that was happening.
Absolutely.
We'd much rather come out and check something out and find out it's a nothing than to figure out, boy, this has been a problem that's been going on for a while.
Yeah, perfect. And with crimemapping.com, community members, business members, residents can go to cityofnovi.org, click on City Services, go down to the Public Safety tab, hit Police, and it's right there on that home page where you can click on to Crime Mapping. A couple things that you might have to click on the right-hand side, but you can actually bring up a map and it shows where the incidents are occurring. There's a little legend. You can do a trend analysis to see the amount of crimes that have occurred, what the highest number. Property crime continues to be our #1 concern here in Novi. I know also that the residents can click on and have alerts. So if they live in the 10 Mile and Meadowbrook area, they can actually click a radius of 1 mile, 2 miles, where they actually get an email saying these incidents took place within 1 mile of your home.
Right, and again, knowledge is power.
Absolutely. And with that, you had mentioned earlier those crime prevention tips, that if it's a larceny complaint, if it's a burglary or something like that, there's tips that they can click on that takes them to a different portion of the website that says, don't leave your garage doors open at night. Make sure you have exterior security lights on. So
right.
That, you're absolutely right. Knowledge is power.
And when you talk about that stuff, one of the things when we talk property crimes is we see a fair amount of larceny from autos. And there's two varieties. They're the folks that will steal your radios rear catalytic converters, and those are much more organized and they're pawning that stuff off. The other version that we see quite a bit of is sometimes you hear people refer to it as car hopping. And that's where, in many cases, it's local kids going around at night, jumping into people's cars, grabbing the cell phones, the laptops, the GPS units, the CD or loose change, whatever's in the car. So the idea is, with these crime prevention tips, don't invite the crime. Pull that stuff out of your car, at least keep it tucked away so that if they peer in your window and they don't see anything, maybe they'll move on in the next car.
Right.
We don't want it to happen, so help us out with that.
Yeah, I remember back, I believe about a year and a half ago, we did an analysis. We had a section of the southeast corner of the community was getting hit with these larceny from autos, and 80+% of all these vehicles were left on lock at night.
Right.
Novi is a safe community, but I think we sometimes get lulled into that false sense of security that, you know, we don't have to lock our car doors, we don't have to shut our garage, we don't have to lock our front doors. I think locks are there, they have a purpose, they have a reason, and certainly could prevent a vast majority of these car hopping complaints.
And talk to some of the people who've done it. They've got the money. It's not that they're lacking funds. Sometimes they're just doing it for the thrill.
Yeah.
So we need to be prepared and watchful against that.
Absolutely. Detective, talk to us a little bit about some of the, when residents go on vacation, a lot of people have a neighbor or a friend or a family member watch their home. What about people who don't have that resource? What can they do to protect their home, and what's the program that we can offer in terms of the home watch?
We've got a home watch program. Simply what you do is you contact the police department. You fill us in on the information as when you're going to be gone, when you'll return. Is there an emergency person that we should contact if something were to happen? And during that period that you're gone, we'll send volunteers or officers to swing by your house and just to make sure things are looking right. Obviously the standard tips, like you just mentioned, make sure the house looks lived in. Utilize timers. I'd even tell you so far as to put a radio on a timer, because not only do you have the lights turning on and off with the timer, but now you've got sound giving the appearance to the would-be perpetrator that someone's home.
Yeah, that's a great, and they can call us at 348-7100. They can go to cityofnovi.org, click on the police page and look under community programs. So many different ways, but we encourage people to do that, particularly those who may be engaging in international travel where they're going to be out of the country for more than a week or something like that. But it could be for as much as if you're going to be gone for 3 or 4 days.
Right.
Don't hesitate to give us a call. We have the volunteer resources. Members of our handicap patrol go out, and in addition to writing the handicap tickets, they're helping us do these home watch checks.
Right.
So we'd encourage residents to take advantage of that free service.
Right.
Tell us a little bit about one of the crime trends we're seeing up in our shopping center area and recently, and what we're actually doing to try to combat that.
We have seen an increase in iPhone thefts, and this is typically occurring at 12 Oaks Mall, and it's people that are walking with their iPhones or they're leaving them on a countertop or whatever. We've had instances where people have stolen the iPhone off the countertop as the victim is making a purchase or attending to some other business, where the thief will just kind of walk by and sneak off with it. We've also had instances where the thief has actually pushed people down and ripped it out of their hands and took off running. The point we're trying to make is we live in a great neighborhood, we live in a great city. 12 Oaks Mall is a wonderful place to shop, but don't advertise. People, I mean, the economy is recovering, but it's not at the rate you want, and people are desperate and doing things that are dangerous to others. So protect yourself, try not to advertise, be watchful of what's going on around you. If people are milling around or seem to be paying too much attention to you, be cognizant of that and let somebody know. Call the police, call security, let us check that out.
Absolutely. And I like your point you make. Don't advertise. Don't walk around with your iPhone in your hand and like you're waiting for a phone call or you're texting. Keep it in your pocket, put it away, wear it on a belt that's covered with a shirt or a sweater or whatever
Right.
It might be.
They talk about distracted driving, which is obviously a problem, but I would say you're distracted when you're on the phone walking in the mall. You become a much easier target for that person who wants to commit a crime.
And just goes to a total, one major thing in all crime prevention is always be cognizant of your surroundings. Who's watching you? Who might be following you? Just be cognizant of your surroundings. So,
Not trying to make people paranoid,
Right.
but just be watchful.
absolutely. I think an ounce of prevention can go a long way.
Very true.
Detective, I'd like to thank you for joining us here on Behind the Badge today. I appreciate your expertise, your knowledge, the skill set that you've used here in Novi for nearly 25 years now as a police officer,
been
as a
that long?
detective. It's been that long, I'm afraid to tell you. But I appreciate all you do, and I appreciate what you do for our community. So
Thanks,
thank
Chief.
you. And to you, the viewing audience, thank you for tuning in to Behind the Badge, and we would encourage you to continue to watch Novi Television. Until next time.